It is important to realize, however, that whether PTSD stems from dysfunctional families or an overwhelming catastrophe such as 9/11 in New York, it is lawful in its symptoms and progression, and therefore can be treated with success. A person who has suffered from this condition can relieve their symptoms and continue to develop and lead a productive and happy life. Traditionally, PTSD has been treated with relaxation techniques, behavioral strategies, supportive psychotherapy, and the catharsis of reliving and expressing the original trauma. These stratagems have proved helpful and are still essential, but newer and more effective techniques are now available that greatly accelerate treatment. There are 4 major ways to effect change quicker and less painfully than traditional psychotherapy, which works mainly with only the human brain. The first technique is hypnosis. Since people are more sensitive and suggestible under hypnosis, this is often an effective way to cut the stimulus response pattern that has developed over time. A clinician can ask the client to experience the past painful traumas with a greater sense of calm or with more effective skills than they had as a child. This alters the experience of the original trauma itself. Hypnosis can be quite beneficial, but does not seem to be as helpful as some of the newer techniques. It appears that the newer models of therapy often produce more congruence and longer lasting change than I have found with hypnosis. Hypnosis also takes longer to administer and is much less versatile. The second way to enable change is EMDR, which is an effective and quick way to deal with trauma and is widely practiced. It is a new therapy that is fast and relatively painless. It is based on the theory that REM, or rapid eye movements, which occur during dreaming, is the way that our brain shifts short-term memory to long-term memory. Long-term memory doesn't have much emotion or immediacy connected to it. In this technique, clients hold the most salient aspect of the trauma in their mind as the therapist moves a couple of fingers of their hand in front of their face to induce rapid eye movements. This seems to recreate the trauma and cause a mini abreaction. After just a few sessions, clients usually report remembering the trauma but without the emotion, and are able to view the past truly as the past. The third and fourth ways are sister therapies, but neuroemotional technique, or NET, is by far more sophisticated, versatile, and effective than TFT. Neuroemotional technique, or NET, was originally practiced by chiropractors and only later taught to mental health therapists. It is still very difficult to find a counselor proficient in this technique as yet. It is based on Chinese medicine and the acupuncture and meridian systems. It allows a clinician to follow the body's own present traumas and feelings and discover whether these feelings might be related to past traumas. It then enables a clinician to tap lightly on a few points of the body around the spine, and the toxic memory of the issue is released. This allows the affected person to be more fully in the present adult mode, where effective action and change is easier to initiate. If a person's adult abandonment feelings are complicated by feeling the abandonment that they experienced when they were 10 years old, a person will be less competent in the present situation. NET releases old and present traumas residing in the body quickly and effectively. This is why NET is so effective for the problem of post-traumatic stress disorder and repetition compulsions. As stated earlier, PTSD is about delayed grief, or to say it another way, energy that becomes stuck. A large part of this traumatic energy gets stuck in the body, and NET is incredibly effective in relieving this energy. It seems to have the effect of allowing the client to reestablish homeostasis and therefore drain the energy and the original belief behind the repetition compulsion. When used in tandem with insight-oriented therapy to understand the reasoning behind the self-destructive behavior, and EMDR to assist in shifting the short-term memory loop of the trauma to long-term memory, NET seems to complete homeostasis by bringing the body back into balance. This has been a major breakthrough in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. For more information on NET, you can go to Ask the Internet Therapist and several articles that have been done on that topic. TFT, or thought field therapy, which is also based on the meridian system, is another quick and painless therapy, and more clinicians are trained in this technique. It is not as versatile as NET, and its diagnostic abilities are very limited in my opinion. But it does relieve some fears and phobias quite effectively by tapping on various acupressure points. This tapping tends to bring the nerve cells back to homeostasis, and therefore the fears, phobias, and addictions are greatly reduced or relieved. TFT works especially well with single event traumas, such as the fear of an animal due to an unpleasant past encounter. All of these so-called power therapies seem to work to affect change on levels other than the conscious plane. They are often faster and much more effective than traditional forms of therapy. This is because they focus on the more primitive brains, which are not usually reached by older therapy modalities, such as talk therapy. I believe fully that insight is important, and this is often provided by traditional counseling. But change is not as quick or complete without accessing the more fundamental brains. This is done most efficiently by the newer therapies. The damaging effects of PTSD are debilitating for the person who has experienced them and the family unit to which the person belongs. The repressed memories of the trauma strive desperately to break through to the individual's conscious mind. Frequently, a PTSD sufferer will turn to alcohol and drugs in a futile attempt to blunt the trauma. Luckily, these newer therapies and the traditional ones are effective to deal with most PTSD issues.